All right, what's going on, everyone? Let me get this tweet out real quick, and we will start the breakdown. All right, we got it out. We're good to go. What's going on, everyone? My name is Cale Hammond, and we're back January 11th. And we got another beautiful, beautiful slate of ATP tennis matches to break down. Before we get started, I wanted to say fuck you, Tennis TV, because I hope Amazon eats up all your rights very soon, because right now you're actively hurting the game of tennis. Every match is unavailable. The ones you do have are going in and out. The stream is stopping. You have to log in, log out. It's terrible. It's not that hard to run a functional streaming service in 2022. It's not that hard to put a camera on the court. All right, so let's get to the play of the day. So yesterday, Pretty Boy Lloyd Harris -2 games, missing a put-away overhead smash at 6-4, 5-4 match point. Let's watch this because, my God, it was tough. I already sent it to Scott Van Pelt. So let's get some music, some background. Here we go. All right. 5-4 match point. Lloyd Harris. SoonWoo Kwon. Great return. We have there. Malfunction. Match point. Oh well. Here it is. Match point. Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. But yeah, so look, that's about as bad as the beat's ever gonna get. They really don't get worse than that. But look, the play of the day has match point. He makes that 99 times out of 100. So it's brutal. If you bet with me long enough, we've endured plenty of bad beats like that, and bad beats are a huge part of sports betting. But a 6'5", smasher missing an easy overhead on match point is by far the worst beat you'll ever experience when you're betting tennis. So it doesn't get any worse than that. But that's part of it, and that's what you get when you bet substantial amounts during the first couple weeks of the season, which is why I told you yesterday to cut your stake into quarters, cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. If that same thing happened to me in June or July, it'd be a different story. But unfortunately, Lloyd lost. It was a decent day overall. We hit on the underdogs, Sebastian Baez, Pedro Martinez, won Pullman's over Blancano in the qualifying round. And let's see what else happened. We won the Steve Johnson spread, but that was a good line, -3.5 by the books. They're certainly smelling what Stevie J is cooking. Stevie J is playing some good tennis. And we lost on Nishioka. I had a feeling Nishioka would match up well with Montero because he's counterpuncher, and he totally did. And he raced out to a first set 6-1, give everyone a great opportunity to hedge. But Montero was just too physical for little Nishi. Once Nishi finds his form and fitness, if he plays Thiago on a hard court again, I think once again he'll be a great bet. I like Nakashima -2.5 yesterday. That lost by half a game, which sucks because he was so much better. He was never in danger of losing the match, but it was good to watch a full Vesely match because, books are not pricing Vesely right now like an Isner or an Opelka, but he totally should be. His serve is absolutely unreturnable right now. So he's anytime he's like a big plus game spread, I think Vesely is a good bet on these lively courts, hot conditions. His serve is no joke right now. It's absolutely enormous. So let's break down today's matches. We've got tennis going on in Sydney, Adelaide, Melbourne. Let's start with Adelaide. Arthur Rinderknech versus SoonWoo Kwon. Rinderknech minus 120. I love this bet. I'm not a big believer in Kwon. Harris played poorly yesterday. He still should have won 4-4. I love the free point disparity. Kwon's serve is not that good. This is definitely one of our plays today. You don't have to give me a reason to fade Kwon. I'm not a big believer in him. Next up, Jaime Munar versus Marin Cilic. Marin Cilic is minus 3.5 game favorite. Look, Munar is playing great tennis. I think Cilic should cover 3.5, but I think there's much better plays elsewhere than to lay a double break with Cilic against a guy who's actually playing some really good tennis. So next up, we've got Tommy Paul versus Benjamin Bonzi. I think this is going to be a good match. If Benjamin Bonzi can string some wins together at the ATP level, I think he could totally, he has the game to beat Tommy Paul, and he has the game to beat a lot of these guys in the top 50. But I'm not there yet on him. I need to see it. Minus 3.5 games. I think Paul could totally cover it, but once again, there's better stuff out there. So next up, Steve Johnson versus Alexander Vukic. I absolutely love this bet. I love Steve Johnson plus 100 over Vukic. The only thing I don't like is that they just played each other, which it's tough to beat the same guy, in back-to-back weeks. It's just mentally, it's very difficult to beat the same opponent, especially one like Vukic is good. But the books aren't pricing. They're overrating Vukic for sure right now. And Steve Johnson, it's good to see him back playing well because his talent, he belongs in the top 50, even if he's only slicing his backhand. He's serve and forehand are just too big to not be in the upper echelon. So also Vukic has a bad backhand, and that gives Steve Johnson a safe target, to just hit his slice every time. Steve struggles against people who can, rip the backhand down the line clean over and over and over again, get him stretched out on the forehand side. But that's not Vukic's game. So I think Steve Johnson is a rock solid bet. Next up, Karen Khachanov over Gianluca Mager. It's a solid line. I don't want to lay 4 games with sketchy Karen Khachanov as a favorite, but if you want to, I can't really argue against it. But I think that's a good line. And after what Khachanov did against Monfils, getting broken 4-5, look, he's much better than Mager, but still, I don't think it's worth it. I think there's better plays. Thanasi Kokkinakis is minus 128 over John Isner. This one is super interesting. There's definitely value on John Isner as an underdog, but Kokkinakis is playing well. But here's the thing: so John Isner's Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship in college football last night. So I would not bet against Isner after that. Like, it sounds totally stupid, and it is pretty stupid. But John Isner's from the South, and you got to understand how big college football is to a Southern boy like John Isner. So I do expect, John Isner's got to be super, super pumped, watching his Bulldogs win that national championship. I think he's going to be in good spirits, so I wouldn't necessarily oppose him. I wouldn't oppose him anyway, but you add that in, he's going to be pumped. Corentin Moutet plus 128 versus Marton Vukic. Vukic beat Vukic Van Zonschulp last night, and I said that price on Vukic was rich, and I'm glad I did. I love betting Vukic, but minus 140 over just a season, top 20, top 30 guy in Vukic is just too much. This one's going to be interesting. I think Vukic, has a good shot with his physicality and weight of shot, but I haven't really watched Moutet play all that much in the last couple months, so I'm not really qualified to say one way or another on this one. I'll go back and watch some tape and revisit, but at first glance, Marton Vukic doesn't seem like the worst play. Next up, we got Gael Monfils versus Thiago Monteiro. So this one is minus 4.5 for Monfils, and I think that's too much. Monfils just won the title in Adelaide. He's feeling great, but I'm not sure how much motivation he's going to have to beat a guy in Monteiro who is playing solid tennis by 3 breaks. Totally possible. I just wouldn't bet on Monfils caring enough after winning a title, a couple days ago to go out and try and absolutely dominate Monteiro. I just think 4.5 games is too much. If you want to bet Monteiro plus 4.5, I think there's some merit to that for sure. But laying 4.5 with Monfils coming off a title, it just seems like a bad decision. Moving on to ATP Sydney. So we got Brandon Nakashima versus Fabio Fognini. Nakashima played great against Vesely, just couldn't return a serve. I don't think anyone can return Vesely's serve right now. It's amazing. But Nakashima is an elite returner, so that just tells you everything you know about Vesely's serve right now. He's dangerous. Nakashima beat Fognini last time they played during the U.S. Open swing. He has a solid game that matches up well against Fognini because he's so disciplined, shows no emotion. He's not going to get in these, battles, mental battles with Fognini. He's just going to look at his strings and let Fognini implode. I don't mind the -2.5 games for Nakashima, but once again, Fabio's just always a question mark. So I think there's other matches that are going to be easier to bet, but can't really argue against Nakashima -2.5. But if Fognini plays well for a set and he wins at 6-3, that's going to ruin your spread. So once again, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. Next up, we have Sebastian Baez versus Lorenzo Sonego. So Sonego is -150. Look, Sonego knows Baez is the real deal. I expect him to take care of business. He's not going to underestimate Baez. I think -2 is totally in play, and I might bet this just because I do like the number, but Baez is a stud. So if you do bet Sonego, don't bet too much. Next up, Aslan Karatsev versus Miomir Kecmanovic. So Kecmanovic played amazing yesterday, but his opponent wasn't that great. This is the first we're seeing Karatsev in 2022, so I'm not sure I want to bet this one, but -2.5 is pretty enticing price. I do like him at that number. These courts in Sydney are very fast. The ball is super lively. He's going to be hitting a humongous ball, and if he has the range early on, he could crush Kecmanovic. So that's going to be interesting to monitor. I like him -2.5. I'll probably bet that small. And this one is if he comes out firing and he had a nice offseason, got some rest. I think that this one you could be maybe double down on this Karatsev spread if he does look locked in to start. Next up, Daniel Evans -3.5 versus Pedro Martinez. I think this is a really good line. 3.5 games sounds about right. Evans could totally cover. He's got the game to frustrate Martinez, who is, a rock solid baseliner. But I probably Martinez is such a fighter, and he won as a +160 underdog yesterday. So we got, he helped us out yesterday. I don't think I'm going to be taking very many, big game spreads against Pedro Martinez this year. I think Pedro Martinez is a pretty awesome player, and I think he's definitely only going to improve his ranking in 2022. So I'll probably be avoiding this. Jordan Thompson next up versus Riley Opelka. We talked about this one yesterday. I think Opelka has a solid price, but I'm just not sure I want to jump in and bet Opelka while he's on this losing streak. I think he's got plenty of firepower for Jordan Thompson. I think he can get this done, no problem if he does, show up and wants to win. But that's just tough right now. I think you're going to move on. Thompson plays great defense, so Opelka, he could hit a couple rippers, and Thompson can get there, hit good passing shots, and then who knows, he could steal a break, and if he steals a break, it's not looking good. But that said, money line Riley Opelka, if you feel like paying up for a -160, I don't blame you. I'm just probably not going to. Next up, David Goffin versus Denis Kudla. This one is interesting. So I grew up playing with Kudla. He's one of my good friends. I typically only bet him on grass. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. He's been a huge help to me in my career. And honestly, part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is when I was growing up, I was just enamored with Kudla. He was one of the top 10 juniors in the world, and just his extremely professional attitude, his down the line backhand, he was so clean. I was just, he's a super nice guy. I was just part of the reason I focused on tennis a lot more was because of, the professionalism that he showed at a young age was pretty cool to see. But this is, it's tough to bet this one with Goffin's form, a little bit of a question mark. This is a good litmus test for Goffin, though, because if he does beat Kudla in straights handily, then I think you'll be able to trust him moving forward, because these courts are fast. Anything on a fast court, Denis Kudla can play pretty well. So I think this is just one to monitor and see how Goffin plays, because Kudla's, going to make him work. He's going to hit good shots, and it'll be interesting to see how Goffin holds up. Next up, Andy Murray versus Nicolas Basilashvili. So we have Murray -4. Once again, I'm not touching anything pre-match with Andy Murray. He has a perfect game against Bash with his defense and, his variety of shot. But it's just with Murray, it's just wait and see. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Trust me. You do not want to lay games on Andy Murray as a favorite pre-match and then watch him go out there and just be unable to move and just be two steps slow. And then you realize you bet on a 34-year-old with a metal hip and you just feel so fucking stupid. So you don't want that kind of loss affecting your mentality because, man, they hurt when you bet on Murray pre-match and he's not able to move well. It's just dumb. So that's it. That was pretty quick today. I like a lot of these plays. Let's get to some AO qualities real quick. I think my play of the day in Australian Open qualities is Roman Safin. Russia looked amazing in ATP Cup. He's -2 games over Chris Eubanks. So these courts in Melbourne are super quick. Quick courts don't help Eubanks at all because he's got the one-handed backhand. He's got a big swing on his forehand. He's got the nasty kick serve. He's just much better when he has time to line up and step into his shots. If Roman Safin is able to rush him from the ground, which I think he will, I think he runs away with this one. He has a monumental advantage from the ground. So I think Safin is I love this price. I'm not sure what's going on, but I really do love it. I think this is a great price. And Tomic, retired yesterday against Safin, so Safin's not going to be tired. It's nice. He was tired from ATP Cup, but he's got that. That's nice to just go out and hit a few balls versus a tank. And Bernard Tomic, get the rhythm down. I think it's going to be interesting. Next up, yesterday we talked about it. Timofey Skatov over Dane Sweeney. I -2 games. I just like this because I think Skatov's a rising star. I think Dane Sweeney's super aggressive, and I think that's going to play into Skatov's hand. I wouldn't bet too much on this one, but I would bet a decent amount on Safin -2 games over Chris Eubanks. I think Chris Eubanks might be a little bit overrated right now, and he is so much better on a gritty, slow court where the ball slows up and he has time, to use his 6'8" frame to crack the ball. So we have a pretty large slate. I think there's 7 matches that I feel pretty good about. So let's just go over them real quick. Maxime Cressy. All right, we forgot about that one. Maxime Cressy, there's another one I'm adding. Maxime Cressy -2.5 games over Dusan Lajovic. You don't need to give me a reason to fade Dusan Lajovic. And Cressy is he's just in the zone. And you just never want to oppose some guy in the zone. He's beating people from the ground, which has never been his game. But his ground strokes are effective right now. He's hitting it well. He's his backhand return on break point. He's just cracking clean winners. And he's hitting his flat out wide serve at an alarming rate. That serve, the flat out wide, if you hit that consistently, you're going to hold serve. There's nothing you can do as a returner when someone hits a flat out wide first serve. The angle they can create with the pace they can create by hitting it flat with no spin, you just can't do anything. So if he's hitting that serve, man, I thought Mannarino was a great matchup against him because Mannarino, not physical points, just a lot of quick hands and reactions, a lot of passing shots for Mannarino. And Cressy was still Cressy broke Mannarino 3 times. Cressy's breaking a guy like Mannarino 3 times in a match. I wouldn't play anything on Cressy that's too high, but 2.5 games, I'll take that all day right now. The guy's just proving people wrong point after point. So I love that pick. That might be the play of the day. Arthur Rinderknech -120 over SoonWoo Kwon, I love. Steve Johnson +100 over Vukic, I love. Lorenzo Sonego -2 over Baez is worth a bet just because of the free point disparity on serve. And Sonego knows that Baez is very good, so he's going to go out. He's going to be focused. Aslan Karatsev -2 over Khachanov, small. That might be 2.5 by the time you get to it. Khachanov looked great yesterday, so I wouldn't go too heavy, especially Karatsev first match. But I kind of have a feeling, Karatsev's with these balls, they are just jumping off the racket. And he hits the ball so freaking hard. I think he's going to rush Khachanov, and I think he has a good chance to really demolish him. Roman Safin over Chris Eubanks and Timofey Skatov over Dane Sweeney. Those 7 plays, I think we hit 4 of them for sure. I'm really excited about this day's slate. Yesterday we had some brutal beats, but we're not betting that much because it's the beginning of the season. And we don't bet that much, so we can save it up for days like today where I do think there's several plays that I wouldn't mind hitting pretty hard and seeing what happens. So let's have a good day, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. I'll get this up on YouTube in no time. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good day. It's going to be fun.